Guys, it's Louise with Gallery One Point Fashion. So good to see you. How's everybody doing this great Wednesday? And welcome
This is
to
Louise with Gallery One Point Fashion.
welcome to the sewing room. Awesome. So glad to see everyone. So glad that you're here. I've got some people coming in. So there'll be some people in person this time. And folks scheduled to be online, to participate online. We're going to run through this real fast. So hopefully you got all of your sewing equipment ready. You've got your tools. You're going to need, well, I've got my beverage. So this is coffee, guys. Just coffee today. Just coffee on how to sew a mini class, how to sew the wine bag cover. We're going to have a little special treat for in-person folks, the folks that come in person. And hopefully you'll join us on Instagram and we'll toast to the last class of the year. That will be, very soon. It's the first Wednesday of December. So I have a lot of announcements. We'll do that last. Let's get right to sewing, okay? I'm going to take a sip. First thing you're going to need is make sure you have your sewing machine. It's all warmed up. You've got the stitch, your favorite straight stitch, ready to go. You've got your snippers. These are the ones that cut threads, okay? And then you've got your tweezers. You may need these to sew, okay? And to pull things through and to poke through, those corners. You may need your seam ripper just in case. I also like to sew sometimes with my seam ripper instead of putting my finger in the pathway. Put that seam ripper, it helps you hold everything together as you sew. We will be definitely needing our fabric cutting scissors. I'm going to introduce to you what we use here in the studio for fabric cutting because I want to get it through it fast. This is a electric rotary cutter. It's our best friend, and we love our rotary cutters. Just get with me if you don't have one and you need one. You're a sewer and you need your tools, and these are power tools for, it makes a difference. It makes the difference between a manual screwdriver and a power tool, okay? For when you sew, manual cutting scissors, power tool. It makes all the world. Okay. You will need your fabric. Now, what I did with my fabric, you'll need your pattern. Need your pattern for sewing a Christmas stocking. This is what this episode will be about. We're going to do this style of Christmas stocking. Now, if you guys do follow me and you'd like to sew this and come on in. Come on in. Yeah, we got some folks coming in, like we had said. So you're live. You're in the room. So come on in. Come on in. Welcome. I'm Louise.
Hi.
Have a seat. I don't know which one you could see better, right here on this stool or this stool.
Okay.
We are live on Instagram as well. So you'll have to, just take one of those coupons as a gift. Thank you for coming. You get the coupon and some announcements there on our flyer. And we have some snacks right here,
All right.
if you like. Antibacterial. There's the Wi-Fi password right there. And help yourself to some water. All right. I'm Louise. What's your name?
Sherry.
Sherry?
Sherry.
Sherry. Okay, yeah. You registered on Eventbrite, right? Yeah, awesome. Make yourself at home. Be comfortable. All right. I'm going to go ahead and, because these guys are already online on Instagram, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. I was just going over what we needed, our tools. I was just talking about what this was as opposed to this tool.
Oh.
So this tool is your fabric cutting scissors, okay? And it's sort of like your manual screwdriver in your toolbox, right? This is a rotary cutting tool, so it's like a power tool for sewing. We love that. I'm going to use that today only because we need to move a little fast, okay? Like I said, these are mini classes. They are just a snippet. It's I'm expecting one other person, so they may come in, they may not. But here we are. We're here, right?
Yes.
Outstanding. All right. So what I did is I prepped ahead of time, guys, the fabric that's on the outside. So I chose this blue kind of geometric kind of looking because this year I want at my home a blue kind of Christmas.
Ooh.
So all my bulbs and everything will have the accents of blue. So I wanted to do a blue stocking, so I did. This is the fabric. Now what we're going to do, what you're going to do is get some iron-on stabilizer. I already did that to prep beforehand, and I usually do that before I cut, because that way you only cut once.
Yes.
You know,
Good.
you're not having to put it on there and then, you're not having to cut your stocking out with the pattern and then having to put the stabilizer on and then cutting around the edges again. This is all in one. So this is little tips that we do at the free mini class. All right, so you're going to want your lining fabric. So what I chose for lining fabric was another equally cotton blend, kind of just soft but plain color. So my outside is this geometric and my inside liner is this.
And they're both cotton?
Yeah, I have actually they're cotton blends. They're broadcloth.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys, if you have questions, just jump on and give me some comments, and I should be able to pause and see what you need. All right, I can answer them. All right, so you've got your pattern. You're going to lay your fabrics together. This is called stack cutting, okay, where you're only going to cut once, right? So you've got your fabric, your outside fabric that already has the stabilizer on it, folded mirror-wise, meaning one side's this way, and the other side is also this way. Okay, so if you're going to do it the opposite, you could do it that way as you want. But this way you have for sure, you know, your one side and your other side will match. Okay,
So
come on in.
But,
Hi.
so when it's like this, it's mirror?
Mirror image. Yep. Have a seat.
Oh, nice.
You are both off camera, so if you guys want to be on camera, let me know, but I kind of put you both off camera. That's just a thank you to say thank you for coming in person. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Tell me your name again.
My name is Vianney.
Vianney.
Yeah.
Right. I remember I read it on Eventbrite. I was like, I wonder how she says it. But there's some snacks there. Help yourself. Antibacterial is there. The Wi-Fi is right there. And help yourself to water.
Okay, thank you so much.
We already moving forward. We've got folks online as well. So anyway, we're going to do some stack cutting. This is the lining fabric. This is the outside fabric with the stabilizer already ironed on it. We have a mirror image on both sides, so that all that we're doing is we're going to go ahead and you will need some chalk or something to mark your fabric with. And I just like to sometimes just mark where I'm going. Now, if you are one of those people that cut with the pattern already on the fabric, like lay down on here, you'll need some weights or a way to hold down your pattern to I don't know if you could see that on the camera. It's real hard to see it on this one too. I probably should have did it on the blue. Let's turn it over, because you can't even really see it. Let's do it this way. Yep, you guys can see it online. Again, I'm just putting that pattern down, and then we're going to score around it. A lot of times people just like go like this. I just kind of like score and connect my dots, because that way I'm not going against the grain of the fabric, and it's not getting, you know, a false line in there. Sometimes once you mark up the fabric, it's marked, you know.
What does it mean goes against the grain?
A lot of times the grain, this is the grain of the fabric, and if you go against it, it does this. You see how it wrinkles up? And then I'm trying to do a straight line, and it's making me do this. So it gets real frustrating. So, but if you just score it like this, that's a tip, you know, from a tailor. I think a long time ago, a tailor told me, he goes, why are you trying to make a line all the way around? And you're wasting time. So he told me, just score it like this. He was an Italian tailor. Like
In Italy?
No, it was in New York, actually, at the time. So I lift it up, and now there's an outline of where I need to cut. Now, on this pattern, it says I need to cut a 9" by 2.5 piece for the loop. On my loop, I will use the remaining fabric that I have here. All right? You guys doing all right online? Give me a comment if you have questions. I don't see any. Good. Okay. All right. Now, I'm, again, going over the difference between your manual. This is fabric cutting scissors. And that's like a manual screwdriver, you know, in your toolbox.
Yeah.
As opposed to a rotary cutting tool.
I've never seen.
Yeah, it's totally jazzed you up. I mean, seriously, it totally amps you to the next level. And it is like a power tool as opposed to the manual. So watch this bad boy go.
Heavy duty.
You do have to be careful of the cord. Make sure you don't cut the cord.
Right. Is just following those dash lines. All right, those lines that I made with the chalk. You're like a barber.
Almost, right? Now that, again, the barber would say, yeah, this is a power tool. All right, now what I've done, I got a little edge right here that I probably need to snip because I didn't get close enough to it. Oops, I didn't go all the way through. Let's go. Oh, yeah, I didn't go all the way through. Let's go all the way through.
It's good for the guard.
All right. So now this is a quick way to do Christmas stockings. You got your pattern, actually anything. This is my top layer with the stabilizer already on it because you iron the stabilizer on the fabric before you cut. And this is my lining. Perfectly matched. All right. Now, if you don't have an electric rotary cutter, you can do just the same with regular, with the manual scissors. It's just, I wouldn't do stack cutting with manual scissors because it hurts. After a while, your hands start hurting. Okay. All right. So now we want the loop. I don't really need this lining fabric any longer, so I'm just gonna kind of move it out of my way. And I want my loop to be with this fabric, all right? And I really just need a single layer of it, and it's really not, it's not a big piece. It says the pattern calls for 9 inches, and we'll mark on this side so we can see again. Let's get this chalk. And we got our ruler, and we're gonna do this raw edge right here. I hope you guys can see. Yell at me if you can't. So 9 inches, I'm gonna mark off 9 inches here with my chalk. And then it says it's 2.5 inches wide. So I'm gonna shift 2.5 inches wide. 2.5 inches wide here. think I started here. Let's make sure. Yep. This is where I start. Two and a half inches wide up. In order for me to make a straight line, I like to mark where I'm going to cut. Again, I'm just scoring across 2.5 inches wide all the way across that top. Just like that. So I didn't really make a whole line, but you can see my outline. I'll grab those rotary cutters.
For both sides?
This is just from my loop. So this is that little loop that you hang your the stocking with. Yeah.
Got it.
Little accessory there. Again, you're just connecting the dots. Move that out the way, and I need to finish it off. Excellent. Now I have my loop. I'm going to move this excess fabric out of the way, hopefully this way. All right, now we have our loop, we have our outside and our inside. And we probably are done using the rotary cutter for today. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is our pattern. Is it a little warm for you guys? Are you comfortable?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
good.
good. All right, how's everybody doing online? Hopefully okay. The next step, we've already got our thread in here. I chose just regular white thread. Let me move this over here so you guys can see. All right, white thread and our bobbin. It's got a bobbin thread in there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to right sides together. So we're going to flip that. Right sides means the pattern piece, the pattern color, or the outside fabric together. Now at this point you may want to pin all the way around so that you can sew, but we're going to sew all the way around here and all the way here, leaving this top part open.
Now, when you did the interface
Mm-hmm.
on the back right there,
Uh-huh.
see how there's a little bit hanging over there?
The stabilizer, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt. In the end, after, and she's asking about why the stabilizer is like a little hanging right there.
Oh, no, like there's a cross over the toe.
This part. This?
Yeah. Oh, it's just...
Yeah, it just needs to be stretched out because the iron didn't get it all the way. But you know what? In the end, it'll all turn out just fine.
Okay.
Trust me. It's a little wrinkle in there in the stabilizer.
Oh, yeah.
See it?
Well, I guess my question would have been, if there were two pieces,
Mm-hmm.
would that be okay? If there were two...
Oh, if you wanted thicker?
I thought they were separated. I thought,
Oh, they're separating, yeah, a little
I
bit.
thought like the semicircle was separate from the rest of the foot, the leg.
So this, you mean?
Where it was creased,
Uh-huh.
like right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there were two pieces.
Oh, if this was a separate piece.
And then you're trying to add it on because you didn't have enough lay over the whole thing.
Oh, you always
The whole
look.
pad.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, pretty much, let me clue you guys in. She's asking if sometimes when you're laying the fabric, when you're laying the pattern piece over the fabric, and it doesn't cover the pattern piece altogether, if you would add, that part in there separately.
Yeah.
You can do that. However, just be careful that usually you kind of look at that whenever you're laying your fabric out to begin with. And you measure your pattern. You look at your pattern and make sure it's covered all the layers before you cut. So that would avoid cutting off, or laying it to where it cuts off, wrong.
Most of the time there might be like scraps. So I was thinking you could use scraps together. Of
Sure.
Interface scraps.
You sure can.
And-
You can. You can take different pieces of scrap. We have a friend that's all that they do. That's their line of their designer line. They actually take a bunch of scraps, and they ask for our scraps all the time, and they make different fabric from the scraps, and then they cut on it. So yeah, absolutely, you can do that. There's no rules on that, none at all. All right, so we are going to sew all the way around the stocking. What time do we have? It's 10 till. I'm going to use we need to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So how do you know when you have a 1/2 inch seam allowance? You're going to look on your ruler, look at the 1/2 inch. You're going to stick it under the machine and let the needle gently drop on that 1/2 inch, on that 1/2 inch mark. At this point, I take my guide and I throw my guide wherever. It's my magnetic guide. You can get them on Amazon. So this helps you sew straight, okay? So now I know I'm at a 1/2 inch seam allowance and it's going to be even all the way around. I lift up, very important, lift up that needle to the highest position. Leave your magnetic guide on there, and now you can just sew. I usually don't start directly on the edge right here, because if you do, sometimes your machines are so powerful, they'll drag the fabric and everything else down into the shaft. So I usually start a little bit after, into the project, and then I'll back tack like that. Okay. I have turned my auto back tack off on this machine. It is an automated machine, and sometimes that irritates me, so I turn it off. I like full control. I have mine set at my favorite straight stitch. You learn how to get your favorite straight stitch in Sewing 101 of our classes that you can sign up for. Needle into the project. We're going to slowly go forward. We're going to go back and back tack. See, we got stuck already. I think that's what happened last week. Just wants to eat everything. There we go. Edges are all straight and even. Now, last time I had to, I had the camera on the table and I was sewing and everything was wiggling and no one said anything. They were just like, except for one person that sent me an emoji that had the dizzy eyes on there, like, could you straighten your camera, lady? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. So as you're going around the curve, you may want to slow down a little bit. It gets a little tricky. Shift a little bit more so you can get that 1/2 inch seam allowance around that curve. Curves are a little, now if you go on Amazon and you get the guide, I believe it has a guide for curves as well. So it has a little round one too that you can use. I usually just go a little bit slower. My machine's a little powerful, and I watch out for things like shifting here right at the toe. You want to make sure these stay even. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's get you closer. Again, as much as possible, staying my raw edge right here to the edge. Sewing. What do you guys like to sew the best? How long have you been sewing? How long you've been sewing? Not too long?
No.
Oh, how about you?
Hobby.
Oh, awesome.
Whatever they offer at the library.
Oh, that's awesome. I used to have a friend that was the instructor there here in Pflugerville. Yeah, Cynthia was her name. Yeah, she sewed, she gave classes there at the library and the community center. She was a teacher at the community center.
Nice.
So if you start seeing like your stabilizer shifting, that's probably because, see, mine is shifting because I didn't really iron it real good to where it, nearly crunchy and burnt. and stayed on there. You could, improve that by doing that. But for the most part, just shift it around to where everything is as straight as possible. And you're following the raw edge right here. Okay, you're following that as your seam allowance. You learn about seam allowance in Sewing 101 in one of my classes. Okay, hold on, guy. We wanted to do a little back tack. I pushed the wrong button. Let's try again. Let's just go over that edge one more time to make sure it knots really well. And there we have it. We're all sewed all the way around.
Yay.
Good. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take our manual. Ooh, don't fall. Please don't fall. Did that once too. And we're going to clip. All right, clipping is real important because especially when you go around these corners right here, guys, these corners are going to want to curve and the fabric is flat. So when you try to get a flat thing to go around a curve, it's almost impossible. There's also a lot of seam allowance in here. Yes, ma'am.
Is that what happened? There's like a little toast.
So that's part of the that's part of the
shifting?
The shifting. Yeah. But here's where that all gets all better. So you can trim that off here. I like to actually trim off a little bit more around the toe. Let me see. I'm off camera.
So you wouldn't use your power tool?
You could if you're real skilled at not sawing things off. And I'm known for getting real excited about going and sawing things off. So I don't do that when it comes to trying to get as close as possible to that seam without cutting the whole seam and ruining the project. Okay. So all I'm doing around these curves is I veered off a little bit and took the excess stuff, all the excess out of the seam allowance. I don't know if you can see me there. I always have a bad habit of just doing and not showing. There we go. There's a skill to doing this on camera.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't mastered it yet.
Takes some getting used to.
Yeah. So I'm just trimming a little bit here. That's the trim part. Now comes, and you could go all the way up. You can trim all the way up. I don't find it necessary all the time. The next thing I want to do is some snipping. I want to clip at an angle where the curves are. I'm clipping so close, but not hitting my stitch. I'm just only in the stitch allowance. If you guys can see that on camera, I'm only on the stitch allowance. And I'm getting right where the curves are because I know that when I try to go around these curves, it's going to be hard because it wants to flatten out instead. Oops. Hit the toe real good. Clip, clip, clip. There's no, if you go online, you go on YouTube and they say, oh, you have to do it at 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch or whatever. I don't. So I'm sure there is a mechanical reason and why and science behind it. I just get where the toe, I already know. I've been sewing so long, I know that that toe is going to be a little difficult to turn it right side out. And I want that nice little curve in there when I turn it to the right side out without it bunching up. So same method whenever you're doing corners, you want to snip the corners and get that excess seam allowance out of there. That allows you to turn it the right side out. Okay.
So you went around from here to there?
You can go all the way up.
Oh, okay.
I just decided not to because we're running out of time and I wanted to show you how to get in there. So the next thing I do is I put my hand, I know, secret weapon, put your hand inside of the stocking. You make a fist when you get in there and you turn it right side out.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, then I put my hand back into the stocking and I spread my fingers out.
It's good enough for the elves.
Right? And then I just take my finger and I coax those edges out a little bit, just like that. Just coaching the seam allowance nice and flat like that. All right. And you have your outside part of your stocking.
That's so cool.
And you can poke this out a little bit more to where it stays. The stabilizer will make it keep its shape. All right. Next, I'm almost out of time, so I'm just going to cover. I'm not going to sew through because we're almost out of time. You do the same sewing all the way around your lining. The same. All the way around, and then you clip. Same way. Instead of turning it right side out, you just slip it right in. I guess let's see how fast I can sew. Let's show you guys. Let's do it. Let's go over my time. Hopefully I won't get in timeout, Instagram timeout. Let's see. Anything over 30 minutes, they like to put you in timeout after a while for lives.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Unless you've got a lot of followers. I don't have that many yet. All right. Let's see if we can get there. So you're a new sewer and you've been sewing for a while.
It's at the library.
Just at the library. What kind of machine do you have? Ooh, nice. I like Singers. Do you own a sewing machine yet?
No, I haven't fully committed yet.
Not fully committed? Oh,
I'm trying to.
You're breaking my heart. I thought we had you. Well, one of my sewing mentors is at Burnett Road. Her name is Mary, and she taught me how to sew embroidery, machine embroidery. And she is just a phenomenal entrepreneur. Her business is called Northwest Sewing Center. She is authorized to sell machines and repair them. Along with, she does have classes in person and online, and sells fabric just like we do. So yeah, I do mirror her a lot because she is just a fabulous woman. She's my mentor, one of my mentors. Let me make sure I got the right button this time.
A score mentor?
Say again.
A score mentor? Score business mentor?
Score. Oh, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't think so. I don't think she is part of that. All right, so the next thing we do, same thing as we did before, we're going to trim. Trim, trim, trim. Make it easy for this lining to slide into the stocking. Am I showing you enough? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Try to position your stools so that you can see stuff. I value you guys' feedback, so go ahead and give me comments online. Hi there. I see ya. I'm just going to let that fall to the ground and pick that up later, and I'm going to stop right there, I think. I'm already over our time. We're going to then what? We're going to clip the edges, clip the curves, actually, sorry. Clipping those curves. We are getting real close to that stitch, but not snipping the stitch itself. This helps get around those curves. Oh, I'm not real good at that. There we go. Let's just get the toe. Allows the fabric to curve, and you can keep its curvy shape around those curves. Is there science behind it? I'm sure there is. You can look it up on YouTube. Louise just sews. So now we have our lining, right? We're going to open it up. My little trick, stick my hand inside. Open up my hand, just like that, and then put it in a fist. Take the stocking with my hand in a fist and put the lining inside the stocking. There's another way to do this where you don't have to drop the lining inside. I think I'll show that on part 2 at the end of the month. We have another style of stocking. It's super cute. I'll show you guys on your way out how cute it is. Just total foo-foo. This one is just regular, you know. So I'm just making sure that the heel matches the heel, the toe matches the toe, right? Just straightening it out. You can feel the seam allowance in there, you know, kind of where the seams are. And then, now typically what we will do is we will sew this little strap together by putting right sides together like this, sewing down, then turning it right side out, so it's like that, and then you have your little loop, and you sew that on the back seam, right there, onto the outside.
Did you X or X and a square, or are you?
Oh, you could do a utility square. You could. I just stay stitch it because I know that I'm going to, well, actually, I usually fold over him on this type, matching our seam to seam, and I'll do a fold over him, meaning you bring it down and then you bring it down again. But before I do, I'll stick this in between, like this. Stick this in there, and then when you bring it down, it's in between the seam like this. So then when you sew it, it goes up like this.
Oh, okay.
So then you have your little stocking. All right. It's like that. And it does better if you iron as you go. You know, iron both. Iron this nice. What I also like to do is after I iron it and got a crisp, nice edges, is I'll go ahead and do a top stitch.
Okay.
I keep it, you know, right. If you were doing cording, you would need, for this pattern, you would need 61 inches of cording. And the cording would go in between the outside layers. So I can show that on part 2 as well, because we have lots of cording. You can do roll cording, you can do the real thick cording. I prefer the smaller cording because it helps up here when you're finishing off your stocking. I have the full class online. If you want to sign up for the class, it comes with the pattern, sewing instructions, and order of sew. So if you guys want to sign up for that, thank you for coming. Thank you. So glad you guys got to join us live and in person. Yay! I'm so excited. All right, so next class is going to be November 30th, How to Sew a Christmas Stocking Part 2. Guys, that's going to be a quick one too. They're just mini classes, so if you want to sign up for the other class, then do so online. If you don't see the times online on our website that you need, send me an email. Say, Louise, watch the broadcast. I want this schedule. Can you squeeze me in? And I'll do a personal custom class for you. All right. Awesome. All right. You guys enjoyed? Was it okay?
It was great. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. All right, guys, I had some other announcements, but we are out of time. So hopefully you'll catch my broadcast, which goes over all our announcements of what we're going to be doing here at Gallery 1 Point Fashion Learning Center and Event Center. See you later. Thanks for sewing with me.